And there's a lot of work that goes into it. You're not just, like throwing a dart. Like there's intentionality around it and a strategy. And so our team really knows how to prepare bid proposals. And we also understand the national landscape within sports. And those relationships are really critical too. And so you got to have those because you can gauge other communities, you can have conversations with people that have done this before, and then you just have to go after it. So there's a lot of sales behind it, and I feel very confident that we're going to put our best foot forward and proactively go after these things. And quite frankly, I want us to win as a community, and I firmly believe, and I don't know where Todd Hyduke is hiding, he's somewhere, but he's like, okay, like cool your jets a little bit, and I'm just telling you, and if it doesn't happen in 27 and 28, I'm going to be really disappointed. But you know what? Like, let's go after it in 29 or 2030 or whatever it is. We have to futurecast, and we have to do these things.
Well, you got to shoot your shot, and you've just got to be part of the conversation.
Yeah, you do. I mean, if you're not part of the conversation, you're nowhere. So sometimes, in leadership, you have to show up. So when we went to Indianapolis, Todd Hyduke from TPC Deere Run on our board, he went with us. Mike Sapolsky, the athletic director from Augie, who's got amazing relationships within the NCAA, he was there with our professional staff, literally working this room because it's a relationship business. And so we did that, and it was a lot of fun, but we also wanted to demonstrate that the Quad Cities is here, and we're here to stay, and we want you to know us. And so I think we delivered that message, and now it's about doing the work and getting it done.
So you're out there, you're advocating for the Quad Cities, you're selling it, you're telling people what we have. Is there something that you keep hearing over and over again, like, hey, you gotta have this. Here's something that you need to really put your bid over the top. We can't bring in an ocean, we can't bring in the palm trees, so what can we bring?
We could bring in palm trees.
We could do that. You're right.
And we do have a very large world-renowned river that's 2,341 miles long.
But it's those things that people think about.
Well, I mean, I would put it in the context of maybe something a little bit more, granular that I think the public sector and the private sector need to be thinking about. So one of the things in Tourism Master Plan, we contemplate our venues and our facilities. We have 800,000 square feet of functional event and meeting space in the Quad Cities. However, we don't necessarily have venues that are maybe the size that we could need to go after some of the group business, meetings, conventions, conferences, those kind of things. We are leaving a lot of money on the table, and there's a lot of lost business because we don't have venues that meet specifications. And so, I'll just use this venue as an example. 24,000 square feet, beautiful, property constructed in 2009, but we probably need to have the conversation about, like, is it time to expand this? Can you go vertical? Can you go a little bit horizontal? What does that look like? Vibrant arena, the River Center, is it modernizing the River Center? All of these things that we need to do to maybe take a step back and holistically think about our venues and our facilities, because it's not necessarily always a here and now. But if we're not thinking about this 3, 5, 10 years down the road, we're not going to be able to build a pipeline. And I'm telling you right now, because we deal in this space and we've got an incredible CRM vehicle that we use, and we're out at trade shows and we're talking to people all around the country, I know that we don't have the venues and the facilities that we need to be competitively positioned. So we need to have that discussion, and sometimes that's a difficult conversation to have in the public sector, but we should have it. Like, we should come together, private sector, public sector, regionally, and talk about our regional assets, and talk about how to maybe put them into a conversation about what does this place look like 5, 10, 15, 30 years down the road.
So you're talking about the potential of maybe a facilities master plan. So far, you have a tourism master plan that's really been guiding your decisions thus far. On the progress bar of that plan, where do you think you're at?
I think we're doing, we're holding serve. I think we're doing maybe better in some areas. when we put that plan into motion, that was essentially a lot of work in 2019, and then we were going to announce it in March of 2020. Something happened, and we made a decision to still put it out there, and we did. And it's been a great guidepost for us. There's 92 initiatives and 17 big recommendations. And so now it's about reprioritizing some of those and figuring out where do we need to put some more focus and direction. I'm proud of the work that's being done, and it's not just by Visit Quad Cities. I mean, it's really intended to be the community's plan. So public sector, private sector partners, nonprofits, people, if they can touch that plan and understand it and kind of use it, I think it's the right framework for moving our destination, north. So I think we're making good progress, but bottom line is we need more investment, we need more thought leadership, we need the private sector around some of the tables that we're having as it relates to the public sector conversation too. And if we can do that, then I think we're going to continue to move that plan along. And I'm excited about that. And I think by 2030, we're going to make some really great progress.
Any last takeaways? The final word I'll give to you, Dave.
That's never, I don't know if I have a final word. I mean, the bar is open. There's a cool QC that's where cocktail, it's a hosted bar, by the way, due to some sponsors and those kind of fun things. I mean, I think just the power of tourism, and that tourism is economic development, and non-resident revenue is the best money that you can ever have in your community, and it's like gold. And the more non-resident revenue that we can generate in the Quad Cities, that's good for quality of life, it's good for quality of place, it's good for quality of vibrancy, and tourism leads to talent. And so by doing these things, by moving our regional economy, forward, we're all in the talent space, and we all need to kind of band together because we want to retain talent, we want to grow talent, and then tourism can play a role in that. To try to get people, here. So that's really the message that I think I'd love to deliver to our friends today.
This is what I want to leave everybody with. Last year we talked about igniting this flame of tourism and getting the ball rolling and feeling that momentum. So what's the next step? We've ignited the conversation. What do we do now?
Well, I think, we've got to continue to fan the flame.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I think, tourism, it's 365 days, 24/7. You heard today, it's group travel, it's leisure, it's bleisure, it's a variety of things, but you got to perpetuate the conversation. You got to do it 365, 24/7, because you never know who's going to be in the Quad Cities, and it could lead to more things. So that's kind of where I'm at on it.